Dr. Jaishankar, thank you very much for joining us here at Rising Bharat. So we were having this discussion outside and internally in the run-up to Rising Bharat as well. In an election year, forget about election year, we are a few weeks away from elections. What do we ask the foreign minister? Is foreign policy top of mind of people during elections? You would think that more tangible things like homes and toilets, etc., are the things that people are more concerned about during election time. But funnily enough, Minister, in the News18 opinion poll that we had last week, one of the things that people said, one of the reasons why they will vote for Modi is because Modi ne desh ka naam roshan kiya hai. Modi has elevated the image of India substantially. Why do you think something that is not necessarily tangible like foreign policy and foreign policy gains has suddenly become a vote determining issue?
Well, first of all, let me say what a pleasure it is to be here with all of you. Look, to be honest, that answer doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me because in the last 5 years traveling around the country, I've seen this sentiment grow. And I attribute it to 2-3 factors. One, that there is a greater sense of pride in the nation about itself, and also as people's basic necessities are being met, they are also looking at many more things, so they know today, for example, that the water connection will come, the electricity will come, the road will come, the health will happen, because they have seen that grow. So there also, there's a kind of I would say, a new middle class thinking which is pervading through the society. The second is that a lot of people today go out to work, go out on travel. They are tourists of various kinds. Something abroad in some way affects their livelihood. So the connection between being treated well abroad, being looked at well abroad, and their existence is also stronger. I would say the third factor would be, to me, the G20.
G20.
G20 actually ended up our initial concern, and Amitabh is here. Initial concern was how do we get it out of Delhi? But we actually ended up with the entire country owning the G20. That in very small towns, people you would not think would have an interest in foreign policy, leave alone something as specific as G20. Actually, people had that sense with our G20, it's a time to show our country to the world, people are coming. So I think G20 has had a great sense of connection. And finally, in a very peculiar way, COVID. That what COVID did was, at different times, it's made us aware, after all the COVID came from outside. We sent vaccines outside. At a critical moment, we got oxygen from outside. So somewhere that connect with the world, it's made people more aware. Then it's technology. You have the world in the palm of your phone. So
I do want to ask you about the G20 part, because we have seen instances in the past where major sporting events have transformed the image of a nation, whether it is the Barcelona Olympics, the Beijing Olympics, and so on. But the G20, the uncharitable way of putting it is it's a talk shop. Why would that have permeated to the level of the Aam Aadmi and our Aam Aurat on the street in a way that it's lifted the image of India?
Partly, as I said, physically, because it was done in 60 cities and towns. And mind you, other than those 60 places where something happened, people went out maybe to another 60 or 100 places more. So if you actually said in terms of locations, I would say maybe 120 to 150 locations in some way or the other saw G20. We ran G20 actually like an Andolan, like a Jan Bhagidari. So I mean, I've been doing G20 for 10 years now. This is the only G20 where you went to a place, you had a meeting, but there's a university running a event on a G20, there were a bunch of NGOs who were doing something on a G20, the population was out there displaying their culture. So it had a, a flair and a impact which was very, very different. So the second is, to be very honest, I don't think people expected us to succeed.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, look, we went through, I saw the Indonesian presidency, the kind of pressures they were in. Every meeting was blocked by a single issue. And then finally, okay, we patched something together at the summit. All of us helped out because that's the way it is. Now, in our case, I think we took, frankly, much less defensive strategy. We said, look, every meeting, if there's a finance meeting, we will get a finance outcome. If you've got other issues, I'll put an asterisk and put it on the side, but you're not going to block that finance outcome. So what we did was, we piled up the stakes, outcome after outcome. So you said it's a talk shop. Yes, you're right, but even talk shops make a difference. So when a talk shop, for example, ends up recommending to the World Bank that you need to change, reform as per a report which is coming out, or a talk shop says that digital public infrastructure is today a kosher concept and the rest of the world must adopt it for propagation. Don't write off the power of ideas and talking. Ultimately they move things. And I would say, if you look at one thing which has gone very badly wrong with the world, which is that COVID, the impact of COVID has really set back development, SDG targets in the world. The G20 brought the focus back. So, and people intuitively understand it, that people, they may not know the nuances, but they knew the pressures were on us, and they knew that we had to, get the outcome done at the summit, and I think they kind of get it.